Hello there. My name is Karole Foreman. I play Lady of the World in our production of Blues in the Night at the Ebony Repertory Theatre. And if you want to know more about this incredible show that celebrates blues music, listen to this interview that is led by the formidable Mr. Buell Brown of Stage Explorations. Thank you for supporting theater, Buell. We love you. I fell in love with theater. I first fell in love with theater, not knowing what it was. My first recollection was in junior high school in Virginia. I was in a class and we had a creative writing assignment. And I remember reading my original story. It was some type of mystery caper. And I just remember having this feeling of everyone leaning forward to listen. And it was the first time I felt accepted by people. You know, growing up, my brother and I experienced a lot of prejudice because we were usually the only Black kids in the class or in the entire school at the time. But we were in Virginia, and it was a different experience. I was very shy and very awkward in social situations. So having that feeling of being seen by people and not necessarily them seeing the color of my skin or using that as a way to judge me was really an incredible feeling. So the idea of standing up in front of people and telling a story had a huge impact on me as a way of being accepted by others. I think the first time I fell in love with acting, it was just a process in junior high school, working with my high school drama teacher, Susan Shattuck, who was a professional actress who came one year to teach at our high school. And I had had experience with puppetry, because it was the 70s. We had all kinds of interesting, classes and a reader's theater class. And then the following year, when she came on as drama teacher, so she exposed us to Shakespeare. We were going to Shakespeare festivals. She had us also write and produce and perform our own shows. And when I was 15 years old, she submitted me for a youth Shakespeare training program at the Globe Theatre. And I worked with a British actor by the name of Eric Christmas, and I landed the role of Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream when I was about 14, 15 years old. And the way that he taught and explained Shakespeare and the work and the words, just that was that light bulb moment. And I remember him pulling me aside and saying, "Karole, you're really good. You're really good." And I said, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Christmas. That's because of you." He said, "No, damn it. You're good." He had this way of just kind of reprimanding you. And I fell in love with that language and the discovery of character as something that I didn't have to hide behind, but was an opportunity to reveal and to learn about more of myself and people, and to really discover a real curiosity and interest and empathy for people. Theater is such a unique experience because it's not going to be the same every night. It's not only yourself and other people in the play, but the audience is also the third character, I always say. So it's not about playing to an audience necessarily, but receiving the energy that they are giving you. So it is very much of a simpatico experience. If they gasp, if they're laughing, you have to wait and pause and then carrying on. They're shaping the work on stage as much as you are sharing with them, I think. And it's unique. We're not doing film and television. We don't have a chance to do it again if we mess up or forget our lines, or a prop falls, or you have a wardrobe malfunction or a wig mishap or something, or power outage or earthquake in the middle of a show or something. So everything is happening in the moment. And we're not robots. We can't go on and do an exact performance night after night. There's always something that's influencing you. So my process in creating and becoming a character in the play always begins with research. Well, always begins with reading the play, first of all. You know, I try to read the play at least 3 times. And each time I go through it, trying to do a different type of archaeological excavation, I call it. You know, the first time just for clarity to see what the sense of the story is and what the relationships are and who the characters and the time and the setting, and I circle any words, or if I have questions about anything that I don't understand, I'll write it in the margin with a question mark, you know, fold back the corner of the page to come back later. Then I, read through a second time to learn more about my character. Who are they? What is their age, socioeconomic status? What are their relationships? How do they feel about each person in that show? How do they feel about their life circumstances? What life circumstances do they come up? Are there any dialects or accents that they have? Are there any cultural references? Physicality, appearance. So I try to answer those questions. And then the third time I go through and always, like, if there are any type of intuitive hits, like, gosh, I feel like there's a certain song that comes to mind that it reminds me of that, or if there's a color, or this reminds me of something else that happened in my past. So I begin there, and I kind of geek out on the research, in terms of books or music, or, life was so different before Google and YouTube. You'd had to go to the library, or I'd call people or talk to people just to try to get a sense of who they are. So it always begins in research, and then an intellectual investigation, an intuitive, an emotional investigation, and then just trying to put them on and stepping into their physical being. It's so interesting. It's one of the oldest African American theaters, I think, in the country, and I had no idea it was there. My husband did, because I think in the early 70s he had an artist's loft that he shared right across the street from the theater, so he actually knew the founding members of this theater company, and he would see shows there. And I went to see, and I'd passed it before in my early LA days, and I'm thinking, oh, I didn't know there was a theater there. But then I saw a production of Raisin in the Sun that was there a number of years ago, and I thought it was just incredible. And then I saw the production of Five Guys Named Mo, and it was just such an incredible experience, because I'd seen that show before, and it can be very surface and, playing for the performative aspects of it, which are acceptable, but there was a depth of investigation of the humanity of people that was just astonishing to me. And it made me, and Wren and I actually had worked together over 30 years ago. We did a reading of a play together, and that was the first time we met and the last time that we had the opportunity to work together until Lady Day came around, and he offered me the role. And so thus began our collaborative romance. Over 33 years ago, I had seen the production at Los Angeles Theater Center when Sheldon Epps had put the production up, and the one that he directed. And Frida Payne was in it, Leilani Jones, Oba Babatunde, and Roz Ryan, who did the Lady on the Road. And I saw the show 3 times. I mean, I kept coming back. I couldn't get enough of this show. So, and I've been a huge fan of Sheldon Epps' work for many years. When he was the associate artistic director at the Old Globe Theater in San Diego, I met him when he had put on his production of Play On before it went to Broadway, and just, made it a point to try to see whatever, this brother was doing. And Sheldon has long been in the trenches in terms of, our visibility of African-American performers and artistry in the theaters, very quietly behind the scenes in an administrative position, I'm sure, fighting battles that we have no idea of what he went through, and was able to create such beautiful work. And so I consider it an honor to be a part of that legacy. So now, having the opportunity after all these years, when Wren told me about it in the summer when I was doing Lady Day up at PCPA, that he was interested in having me do the role, I said yes. Little bit about Blues in the Night. It's a story that is a celebration of blues music through the 20s and 30s. And it's told through the lens of these four characters, four African-American characters who are who are residents of a hotel that has seen more magnificent days. And they're all down on their luck. Some are performers off of the touring circuit. Some have found themselves, kind of fallen on hard times and have had to take a room in this hotel. So as they're individually revealing their stories to the audience through song. And there are songs by artists like Bessie Smith and music written by composers like Arland and Ida Cox and the like. So, it's a wonderful exploration of the history of our music, and kind of the predecessor of jazz, and it talks about heartbreak and loss, and but also a way through hard times. And blues has been that in the African American experience for us. Blues was our antidote to depression and heartache and loss and trauma. At the time, we talk now about clinical depression and sadness, and we didn't have psychotherapy and counseling and Zoloft. We had the blues. So the blues is a way of transcending that pain. In Blues in the Night, I play a character, the woman of the world. She's someone who's has lived a luxurious life, perhaps someone who's depended on male patrons to pay her way and to make life easy for her. And she's just come from a failed romance and has found herself back at this hotel, and she's still trying to hold on to these memories and this reminiscence about more luxurious times in her life. And I was inspired by performers like Lena Horne, and I saw Frida Payne do this role too, all those many years ago at Los Angeles Theater Center. And it was my first time really kind of seeing this representation of elegance and grace and this kind of statuesque strength and vulnerability. And I really thought that was remarkable to have a kind of an iconic character like that to emulate. So that's my inspiration for the woman of the world. So I have the great pleasure of sharing the stage with some really formidable performers. So Vivian Reed is an iconic, legendary artist and performer. And when you come to see the show, you will understand why. It's a master class in performance. And she was nominated for a Tony for Bubbling Brown Sugar, for which she originated that leading role on Broadway. She's been performing all of her life, and you see the history, the profound artistry that is absolutely transcendent in her physical instrument and her voice. I mean, I should be so lucky to live so long and be performing at the level that she is performing at. It's really quite extraordinary to witness that. Also playing the girl on A Date is JENNA Gillespie-Byrd, who was recorded in Hollywood a number of years ago, that went to the Kirk Douglas Theater. And she is an exquisite performer. She's also a singer-songwriter. She's music directing a production of Tick, Tick, Boom that opened last weekend in Los Angeles. And we met through a musical theater writing program, actually, early in the pandemic. And now we have the opportunity to work together again. And my favorite part of the show is listening to her say, "Willow, weep for me." She's just got this pure, exquisite voice that just carries you away, and the simplicity and the depth of her emotional sincerity is really very moving. And playing the man in the saloon, we have PARRIS MANN, who has graced us with his presence. He was in a Broadway show, Black and Blue. Incredible tap dancer, actor, vocalist. And so the four of us on stage, working together, singing this beautiful music with these really intricate harmonies, is really wonderful to be able to sing this kind of music, and is really just a joy to sing with this company. And last but not least is the 5-piece band that we have on stage, some of the top musicians in Los Angeles, in the country, really. Our music director is William McDaniel. And for instance, the drummer, Clayton Cameron, I met in an acting class as well. And I haven't seen him because he was going off on the road to play with Tony Bennett. So he's been Tony Bennett's drummer all that time. And then we just reconnected during the show. And the other guys in the band, you know, they're all top-notch studio jazz musicians. So you are going to love this music. It's a great band, and to sing and to listen to them play every night is really nothing but pure joy. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our illustrious director, Mr. Wren T. Brown. I mean, he's become one of my favorite collaborators in this town artistically. It's hard to say no to Wren. If you know Wren, Wren has a generosity of spirit. He's a formidable artist, actor, singer in his own right. The love and the passion, as you yourself, you'll have for this art form, for the history of Black folks in America and our cultural and creative contribution. I see this as a vision that Wren has to keep this art form, our art form, alive and thriving, and to be able to bring in this group of artists to continue this tradition. He really is a wellspring of theatrical history, being from a long line of performers himself, and he's writing a book about his legacy. So it's really wonderful. I'm always learning something new and always growing as an artist working with Wren. It's been an extraordinary blessing to reacquaint myself and to work with and to be friends with Wren Brown. So I feel very privileged and honored. What I would love for audiences to come away with from Blues in the Night is just a sense of joy, a sense of comfort, a sense of celebration, knowing that things are going to be better. I think we've been through so much this past year, the past 2 years, really, because we're still not out of the woods, but a chance to really gather, to reconnect, to really find some hope in the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And that's just it. I think through the lens of the blues as being a way to acknowledge struggle, to acknowledge pain, to acknowledge grief, but also a reaffirmation that we're passing through it and that it is not a permanent state and it's not a permanent condition, that we will come out the other side of it, and that there are different ways of healing that may not be something that we expect, but it will still carry us through. So I really hope that the audience, and I know they will come through with the music and with the message, that they will be lifted into another place that's going to make them feel wonderful when they leave the theater. Well, when I'm performing Blues in the Night, what I'm looking for is every night I want to discover something new about the character, about what she's seeing, what she's hearing, what she wants in each particular moment, and also listening to the stories of the other characters, because we all, most of us, or I do anyway, stay on stage for the entire show. So it's wonderful, you know, like there's a nuance in the way that someone shapes a note, or if there's Perry has a different kind of dance move that just kind of tweaks it, or listening for that sound of that clarinet that the two horn players, Fernando and Scott, play, you know, or listening for that downbeat on the bass that Dell is doing during Savoy. It's just this beautiful oral experience every night. I'm always finding something new in the performance and the show that deepens my appreciation for what I'm doing. And I'm always just trying to be a better artist, to be a better singer, to find a new way of shaping my work. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for new discoveries and new ways to improve my own storytelling. People, you should come to see Blues in the Night because it's an incredible show. It's incredible music. I mean, this is our musical legacy, and you know, the music is for grown folks. I'm just going to tell you because you know we've got Bessie Smith numbers up in here, so Bessie Smith keeps it real. It's a wonderful group of artists. The music is just going to leave you feeling good. It's nostalgic. There are songs such as Lover Man, Blues in the Night, Willow Weep for Me, Lush Life, I'm Just a Lucky So-and-so. I mean, just really so much wonderful music, some of your favorite songs with a great band backing us. So, you know, you need to come out and celebrate and to support theater. You know, this is for us. It's something that's directly speaking to us and is created for the community. So we would love to see you in the house at our production. I think it's important to have diverse voices in theater because that is our world. That's the reality of the world that we are living in. Simple, you know, maybe simple enough. And it's not only the people on stage, but I think it's really important for theaters to make a commitment to reach out to the communities that they're speaking through. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've worked in regional theaters all across this country where you walk outside the theater and people don't even know there's a theater next door to them. So who are your neighbors? You know, I think, you know, of course, your subscriber base is your bread and butter, but how are you expanding your audiences? How are you including that diversity in your audiences on your board of directors? You know, if it's just about dollars and cents, well, what other things might be of value rather than, you know, I don't think it's crass or crude, rather than the checkbook, you know, that can really keep you connected with what's happening in the world around you. Because I think in the best sense of the word, theater is supposed to be in service to its community, and also educating communities, bringing in younger people to give them an appreciation of human to human interaction. You know, so much is being done through our devices, but I think it's really important to continue to nourish that one-on-one and that collective experience. And it's also a way of learning about the world around them in a real practical way. So I think it's important that different voices are included, but it's also incumbent, I think, upon us to really take a deeper look at the communities around us and engage and involve them and move beyond our kind of myopic views of what we think theater is supposed to look like. Well, if you're a playwright, artist, anyone who cares about theater, who loves theater, who's passionate about this form, or maybe you don't know anything about it, go to the Ebony Repertory Theatre. It's a beautiful venue. It's kind of a jewel right in the middle of Los Angeles on Washington Boulevard, just east of La Brea. You'll have a beautiful theater experience, you know, as soon as you come through the lobby. It's beautifully maintained acoustically. It's an incredible place to listen to music. They often have also a lot of live concerts and music there, and some of the best music you'll hear in town. So as well as theatrical events. And, Wren is also really, has a very particular aesthetic in terms of really advancing this history and culture of theater and music in our community. And it is such a worthy venue. And it really needs, actually, I'm amazed it doesn't have more attention. He said that, I don't know if it was he but I've noticed that the Times, hasn't been out in years to review any of the shows, even though their shows have moved to the places like the Pasadena Playhouse, have toured regionally. And I think that's really kind of curious. And, it just is beginning to give you an indication of the politics around certain types of theaters and who has cachet in this town, which I think it's incumbent of us to show up. Not only for the Ebony Rep, but, other theaters that are local to you. Now is really a time to support theaters that inspire you, that move you, that help you through those tough times, So it's a great pleasure to work there. I love going to that space and working there. It's really just a beautiful theater, and I always come away with a wonderful theatrical experience of everything that I've witnessed there as well. And especially coming through a pandemic, yeah, we've got to remember these people, these experiences that we've taken for granted, for our anniversary or for a date, or, oh, I hear about the show and such is in town, and, oh, this is a play that I love or I've always wanted to see. And then, oh, but it's not there anymore. I mean, that would be a travesty for places like this to go away, these wonderful historical. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to gather around and share these stories with each other, because they help us through our stuff. They help us to figure things out. They reveal to us who they are. They reveal to us who we are, I should say. We have these rituals of church and synagogue and, all of these places that, temple, where we come together to commune as people. I think that's just a real human need. We need that type of communion with each other. Hello, my name is Karole Foreman. I play Woman of the World in our production of Blues in the Night at the Ebony Repertory Theatre at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center in Los Angeles, California. We would absolutely love to see you at the theater. Thanks so much.